Yo, yo, what's going on? Y'all, yo, we gonna get right into it.
Am I in here? I'm in here.
There you
Yep.
go. Uh-oh. Hold on, we gonna get it together. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. We're gonna get Shannon Montana in here. Yo, this is gonna be a fun one. This is gonna be fun. Let me see if I can send this request. There we go. Let's do that. Yo, yo,
You can see me? Can you hear me?
I can see and hear you clearly.
All right.
How do I sound?
Wonderful. Let me put a filter on my face. I am not ready today.
Hey,
How
it's
are you
Monday.
doing?
It's Monday.
It's been a Monday too. It's been a Monday. I even took a nap today. That's how you know what kind of day it is.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you're able
So
to get a nap in.
I'm fully prepared for us today. All right. I'm not about to think too hard. Yeah, about to like here we are. We're gonna get this. All right, wonderful. All right.
Yo, so listen, this is gonna be a conversation that me and Miss Shannon Montana are gonna have about something
Indeed.
that's been floating around. So first, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll do the same. Let everybody know
All
who you are.
right. So hi everybody. I am Shanna Montana, known as Shanna Montana.
Did I freeze? Let's see.
It's
Testing,
the
testing.
I'm here. The Instagram gods.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
I don't know what's happening.
It's Instagram. Instagram is some haters. But anywho, as I said, I'm Shanna Montana. I'm a relationship educator and podcaster of the podcast To Be Single or Not to Be. And my goal is to make sure that women are able to navigate relationships free of delusion. I want us to be out here and understand how to navigate these relationship streets. So that's why I'm excited to have this conversation today with a man who can give us some answers because, we think we know all the answers. So I want us to be able to openly talk about this, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem at all. For everyone who may be following from Shanna, my name is Joseph Wilson. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm also the host of the Love Unscripted podcast, where we have unscripted conversations with millennials about relationships and dating. And so I'm excited for this topic. So let's not spend too much time. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Get to it.
So the reason we decided to even have this live conversation is that we saw something floating around and thought we should have a conversation about it. So let me set the framework.
Please.
So there's a little like either TikTok or a little meme of picture this. So there's a woman out in the woods in the forest with her boyfriend, and it has a caption. And the caption reads, and this is from the woman's perspective: my boyfriend told me to wear a flowery, pretty dress, and I got mad at him and said, don't tell me what to wear. So I wore cargo pants instead. And it says, and then it has another caption, and then this happened. And the picture is her standing there in a long sleeve shirt, cargo pants, and this man is bent down on bented knee proposing to her. So, Shanna, what was your first reaction to seeing that video post? what was your first reaction?
So I had a couple of reactions, and that's why when you posted that video, I was triggered, I was activated. It was a lot of emotions because I had been meaning to talk about that video. So I was so glad you got to it and that a man posted it. So my initial thought was, it's very unhinged behavior. Let's start there. But what world do we live in that we are in a relationship with somebody and we feel like because they are making a request of us that they are, one, either trying to control us, or two, trying to tell us what to do, or sitting in a seat of like, why you gotta tell me to wear a dress? Why I can't just wear what I want? Like, it's almost like the entitlement and the attitude and the mindset that you really don't want to be married, or you really are not ready to be married. Like, you really deserve the singleness that you need to sit in. And I really, if that video was real, I hate that he still got on one knee, because I almost feel like I wish he wouldn't have even proposed to her, because I really just honestly felt like, as a woman, where are you in your life if a man literally making a request of saying like, I like the way you look in that flowery dress, can you wear it for me again? That pisses you off to the point of being like, why you gotta ask me that? Why I can't wear what I want? You have a whole lot of other, I don't know if it's anger issues, emotional issues, trauma issues. You got a whole lot of other things that you need to deal with if this is the one thing that's going to set you off with your partner. And so I just was like in belief and shock, because women, we say that we want these relationships and we want them to be healthy and happy and we want to communicate. But when you get somebody who, one, is a communicator because he asked her to wear it, I'm sure, he didn't come in there swinging like Ike Turner, you better wear this dress. So he asked you to wear, he was being thoughtful, he was preparing for something ahead of time. We always say, we don't want to ask for flowers, we want you to surprise us with flowers. So when he's taking the steps ahead of time to do it, and then we're angry because of the fashion that he went about, because it came across as like angry attitude, it didn't come across as positive. It's like, what are we really doing? Do we really want the things that we say? And are we really deserving of these things that we say if we're going to behave like this? And I'll pause there.
Mm-mm. So from a male's perspective, looking at it, I was shocked, because I know what's going on in a man's head when you're building up to propose, and to have that request met with anger. She said she was mad. It wasn't like it was a joke. She self-proclaimed, I got mad, and then said, I'm not doing it. I'm going to do something contrary. Now, for me, I put myself in his shoes. I would feel hurt that I am about to set up a situation that we will remember for the rest of our lives. And I am being told that I am not going to be part of making this day special without all the information. Because I've heard women say, like, if you're going to propose, at least make me get my nails done. So that when I show the pictures of the ring for the first time, your nails are not jacked up. That's something that I've heard and I understand it. So as a man, I'm like, ugh. And what bothered me was the fact that he still went through with it. And not that he shouldn't propose ever or at all. It's just that in that moment leading up, there's some other conversations that would have caused me to pause and have to reflect on some things and determine, is this something that I want to be a consistent experience in my life? So I was very shocked, to say the least. So give me some insight from a woman's perspective. When a man asks something of you, how do you start to determine whether or not it is a genuine request, or if it's a request that is heavy-handed, so to speak?
I think it's all about, one, you have to know who you're in a relationship with, and people show, and I'm going to speak to like in relationships, not like when you just out here playing around with people. So if you're in a relationship, you have to know who it is you are dealing with and how they normally speak to you, how you all normally communicate. Do they normally ask you requests? Because in thinking about this, and it's so crazy how I looked at your video right before I walked in Bath and Body Works, and I was so distracted in Bath and Body Works because I was sitting there thinking like, what is wrong with her? I was really dissecting this video in my head. Like, it stuck with me. And so I think it comes down to knowing your partner and knowing how they normally talk to you. Because I've been in situations where I've been with people who I consider kind. Like that's a
Mm-hmm.
requirement for me. Like I'm not necessarily saying, Shayna, will you please hand me that water so lovingly? Like I'm not saying that, but at the same time, it's not like, give me that piece of paper that's over there. Like, no, you're not gonna talk crazy to me. But the thing is, if I know who I'm dealing with, I know how this person communicates. Like most times at our age, when men show up, how they're going to treat you, if they're going to be loving or kind or more aggressive about it, that shows up right away. These are the men that like they barking stuff, they telling you what to do. It's not layered with love when they're asking things of you. Versus people that it might be a surprise down the road if things start changing. Like, when a relationship going bad, then you just everything they say getting on your nerves. So, but when you are in a good space, you know what the communication is like. So if I'm talking to someone, and I've had people in relationships request of me, like, can you wear black tonight? Can you wear heels tonight? Do you mind picking up my dry cleaning? Asking things of me the same way. It literally goes back to treat me as I treat you. Talk to me how I talk to you. I don't bark at you. I don't demand things of you. It may be minuscule to some people, but I'm so big on saying please and thank you to me in general. Because I say it to people. Like, that's really important to me. So it's like if I'm with somebody who displays that, who mirrors that, like we get each other, then I feel like I'm being handled correctly, for lack of a better term. So if this man comes and says, tomorrow, do you mind wearing that flower dress that I like? Yeah, I'm thinking like, is something going on? Do I need to add a little razzle dazzle beyond what he's saying? But if it's a difference. You come in the room, you throw the dress at me, but it's tonight. Yeah,
Put this on.
put this
Don't
on.
give me
Like,
your lip.
yeah, that don't sound welcoming. And if this is how if you walked in the room and did it like that, you've been talking to me like that. So it's a difference in just knowing who your partner is and how you normally operate, but also not being so delusional that you do ignore those red flags. Where a person in the beginning, where they are saying, be at the Cheesecake Factory at 5 o'clock tonight, versus, if you get into those spats on social media, did you ask, did you tell? I don't even mind saying a man saying, hey, I made reservations at this restaurant tonight. Can you meet me there? If it's open, sure. If it's not, when it's like, you better be at so-and-so, or you better be here, then, that's another situation.
Yeah, I think you hit on something important. You have to know who you're with.
Yes.
And I think being with someone who's genuine and caring is your responsibility. To be with someone who's not going to treat you in a certain way. We got to
Yep.
understand the context of this was in a committed relationship. So they're not just dating, they're not just
Yep.
casually a thing. They have had the conversation. He knew that she would want to get married, and he went through the stages and steps. I'm not too sure if everyone is with someone they actually like or with someone that cares about them.
Let's talk
And
about it. I tell people all the time, make sure who you are dealing with, make sure they actually like you, because we are living in an age, and I'm not in a space, and I'm not even going to put an age on it, where people get with people for a lot of reasons that are wrong, where they don't even foresee this person as somebody that they want to spend their life with. So people get with folks out of convenience. It's people that be out here secretly broke and be needing somebody to take care of them. Like, people talk, that's another conversation about why some women lead with like, I need a man with all this money. That's because they got some other stuff going on. And so this is why they're leading that way. Or you get with people that, I feel like, I'll say this may be age related, or however you want to put it. I feel like at 35 plus, I'm really not dealing with nobody on a serious tip that I don't see early on that this has the potential to be something more. Like, we're past that just fleeing, I'm going out to get a hot eat and a cold treat. I don't have the time to play like that. So it comes back to what you said. Are people actually in relationships and dating people that they actually like them and they like you back? Because that's another thing. If he don't like you, that's why he's talking to you crazy. That's why he's making demands and not trying to necessarily lead you or make requests of you. He's treating you the way that he sees you, and he does not see you as somebody that he wants to commit to for the rest of his life.
And listen, we acquiesce to people's requests that we actually like. And
I tell you, if a woman, me and my friend said this on Saturday, if you have a woman that's coming out the gate making crazy requests, asking you for money, asking you to do stuff, she don't like you. When when we like you, sure, we be ready. We the easiest people on the planet to deal with. Sorry to cut you off, but I had to say that. Yeah, she don't like you if she don't.
No, you're right. Because we will do anything for that person that we like, even if they're not good for us. This is why we always tell people, like, don't let attraction be the only thing you judge people by, because when you're attracted to somebody, when you like what you see, when you have those feels, you do things for them without questioning. And we know this. So if you're in a relationship with someone who asks you something or ask you to do something, make some kind of request, and you feel like, man, I don't want to do it, then that may tell you you may not like the person as much as you think you may.
Yeah, it's very true, because I do think about that, and I try to lead with that personally and professionally, and telling people that when you meet your type physically, a lot of you have to kind of pull your best judgment back into your head, because for every kiss they give you on the forehead, your common sense flying out the window, because you just like them. When you are attracted to somebody, you are like, I'll do anything. So your judgment is not A1. So you're absolutely right. That is a huge indicator that I think, especially more women, got to be able to take away, because I think sometimes, and I don't say I feel like men do a better job with it, but for us, because we're nurturers by nature, we tend to want to do and give and feel. So don't let us come out the gate with somebody that's like exactly what we're looking for physically. Oh, common sense, it's out the window. It's clouding our judgment to the point we got to fight through the clouds to get our common sense back so we can start making the right decision. So that's so correct. So that situation, that's another thing too. Now that you say that, when I think about if I'm going to receive a message from a man, and I may be taking it the wrong way, or saying you're not being a leader, you're trying to tell me what to do, or I'm being argumentative, whatever the case, do I really like him? Or is he irritating me because I don't like him? Like this guy on TikTok he was saying, he was talking about how women make special requests, and he's like, man, I had to realize it's not that women asking too much. He was like, I'm just broke right now. So he was like, ultimately, he was like, I gotta bow out the dating game, because he was like, I just know that the women I deal with, he was like, they're not asking me to go buy him a castle, but if I ain't got nothing to give, everything you asking me I'm getting on my nerves. So it's kind of the same concept, in the sense that a man, you may be thinking like, oh, he's trying to control me, he's trying to tell me what to do, and have a negative connotation, but that negative connotation might be that you don't like him. Like that's the other side. So I want to ask you, as far as like men, and when y'all look at women, what do you feel like you can tell women, or what do you feel like makes it where, from a man's perspective, what's the difference between like, I'm just making this request and I'm trying to control this woman, or I'm really treating this woman bad? Like, is there a fine line with men?
Yeah, and I think it's with the intention or the direction that we're trying to go. So we will say our intention through our action, and we will make known what we want, what we need, where we're going. And when we verbalize that, we look to see whether or not, and let's do this. We look to see whether or not you will cooperate or follow along in the direction we're going. Here's something that I want ladies to understand about men. And we get this confused because you all don't operate this way. Men, if we just respect you and view you as a leadership figure, we will follow you blindly. Why is that, and how does that happen? Many young men grow up playing athletic sports where we follow a coach and we don't have the final say. The coach picks the plays, he makes the subs, and we have to manage our own feelings and emotions to be part of a bigger picture. Now, we understand not everyone's going to be able to make that decision. And so when we deal with women, sometimes we may not understand, why do they not just fall in line, is because women want to know more of the story, the rhyme and reason, where we have been conditioned and trained, especially from athletics, team activities, that there's a leader and we follow them without questioning, which romantically causes a challenge, because that woman may want more information. She may
That's
want more information.
that's
And
good.
so, and so that conversation needs to be had. The guy has to be willing to communicate and over
Yeah.
communicate. Now, if you're trying to do a surprise, I'm gonna put the onus on you to be creative with how you get the information. There
Yeah.
are ways to do that. You can consult friends, you can ask other peers or mentors. There's other places where you can get that kind of information to do that, but the onus is on you. But if you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you do have to communicate where we're going, what we're doing, and how that's going to happen. Because women don't have that conditioning for the most part. They're not going to follow you blindly.
And that makes so much sense when you connect it to sports, because I think of like, even in us playing sports myself, we followed a leader, but I always feel like we still always had a question. Like, you know, why do we have to run? Like, even if it's after the fact, like, why do we have to run that play? Like, why do we have to do, like, we're always more inquisitive. And so I think if you get in a space in relationships with somebody who is not willing to communicate, like you said, and sometimes overly communicate, it is going to cause a problem, because then we are going to feel like, I don't want to be led blindly. Like, almost like, I do trust you. I trust that you are not leading me into the abyss. But if you know me and you know what would make me feel comfortable, say if it's not a surprise, it would just help a little bit if you would tell me a little bit more. Like, I don't have to know the full blueprint, but if you could give me a little bit more information, because this reminds me of a situation I dealt with somebody that asked me one time, if a man you're in a relationship with just calls and asks you for like a large sum of money, like, would you question, like, well, why do you need the money? I mean, I think by nature, we just tend to say, like, what do you need it for? But the person was like, well, as your partner, you should just understand and give it to him. I'm like, well, I think that could work as layers. If I know that he has a gambling habit, then I do need to know where this money is going. Versus on the other side, if it's just somebody that, if we have that trust and they call and say, hey, I need $500 real quick, da-da-da. Okay, you got it. It's done. But that's a level of trust that has been established with that person for me to do. That's not going to be just anybody.
So we're in the football season. We have football time, Super Bowl's coming up. So here's another thing, and I want to relay the message. So in sports, there's this idea of coaches will say, my players will run through a brick wall for me. The sentiment behind that is that my team believes in me so much that they would do something that would seem impossible, could cause physical injury, and not get us towards our goal, yet they will attempt it anyway. That's the sentiment. So for men, when we're trying to lead, it can be difficult. Here's something we got to consider. The assumption of your man, the person you're following, has to be, and this is what we have with coaches, the assumption is that what they're going to ask me to do is not going to be to my detriment. At the very end, it may sound crazy. I may not know all the logistical part, but we know as athletes, my coach is not literally going to ask me to run through a brick wall. It's a metaphor to say, I'm going to ask you to do something you may not understand, but trust me that we will get on the other side of it. When it comes to trust with men, we have that kind of sometimes, not, and this isn't going to be general and it's not going to be broad, but the understanding is that I'm not going to ask you to do anything that would cause you hurt, pain, or detriment, which comes back to, you have to know who you're with. Are you with someone who is trustworthy? Are you with someone that I may not understand everything he is saying, but I'm willing to give him the benefit of every doubt to see what happens? But here's what happens in sports. Once we go the route of the coach, and if it doesn't turn out how he may have said, or everyone gets hurt in the process, the team quits. Because we actually tried it, we went the mile that you said, and it wasn't what we thought it was. It wasn't what you said. And we hear the term, you lose your team. You can lose your partner that way. By under delivering, by not following through, or just completely not really understanding what you're trying to get somebody else into. And so that can be a detriment to a male's leadership.
And I think what I'm thinking about what you said is, I feel like more women or people have to take the relationships more seriously. to the point where I'm not going to marry you unless I do feel like I can blindly follow you. If I feel like I have to check every door you close and check every window that you open and check everything you do, yet we say we don't want a man who we have to treat like a child, then what are we doing? So ultimately, for me to be in the space, even in that relationship, when that person was saying, if I called and asked that money, would you question it? And at the time, me feeling like, well, I have the right to question it. I shouldn't feel that way. I need to only be with somebody. Of course, I wasn't married, but being married or somebody I'm considering marrying, I only need to be in that place where I can trust you to the deepest level of the capacity to know that no matter what is being asked of me, like you just said, no matter how it's sounding, how it feels, how unsure, how scary it may be, because fear is just a part sometimes when it's the unknown. But I'm gonna trust him up this mountain that he said, he hasn't steered me wrong yet. And if he does steer me wrong, I trust also that he's gonna figure out how to get us out of this if it doesn't go left, that you won't lose your team. Because if you're doing stuff to the point where you are going to end up losing the team, that means it was some other broken trust where probably all the way up the mountain, the whole way up, I'm sitting there thinking, this shit ain't gonna work. This shit, I'm already thinking, because I done this before. He done it. Like, I got evidence A through Z to show that I have blindly followed and it has not worked out. So I think you definitely have to be on that mountain. And I don't think we see that enough. And I think that's a huge part of this whole issue of, am I being led or is he controlling me? Because we are not fully vested in it enough to walk into situations. Because if I'm just thinking, and I'll just speak to myself and not call nobody else out. When I think of the past, I would say 4 relationships. It sounds like I've been with 40 people. I think of my past 3 relationships in my 30s. Did I blindly trust those people? No. But I think that where I was at the time in my life, had they asked me to marry them, I would have said, yeah, just doing something. But I mean, you know better, you do better. But I think now understanding it, and also a huge part of that, I think, as women is you have in relationships period, in order to be able to trust and get to that point where you know your partner, you also gotta be in this space where I think you have to remove fear, for lack of a better term. You gotta remove fear on a lot of levels, because we walk through stuff a lot of times already afraid of the most negative outcome, already afraid he gonna treat me wrong, already afraid he gonna lead me astray, we already afraid he gonna leave us. So we walking around afraid, then that's gonna cause a problem in itself. And someone said you can't, like I said, can't blindly follow, period. I beg to differ. I would say the person that I'm gonna marry, I'm okay with. I'm out here like Bird Box. I got the blindfold on because I need for him. If I got the steering wheel, I need for him to be able to tell me where to go, and I'm gonna trust him that much. Now, my thing is always I want to trust him to the furthest extent of the law. And of course, it's always going to be a naysayer in there, well, what if? Well, guess what? What if when what if come, I'll address what if when it happens. But until I have a reason to do otherwise, why live in that space? And if I cannot walk around with my eyes closed, with him holding my hand, leading me happily, why am I here? Well, what we doing?
Listen. Marriage is serious.
There.
You are going to be entrusting your life to somebody. What if you're unconscious in the hospital? Talking about being blind, can you trust that person that you decided to join yourself with to make those decisions without you having to co-sign it? Have to always consult. Like, there are situations and things that happen where you do need to rely on your partner without all the information given. You can comfortably do that when you not just know your partner, but you are very in tune and interconnected with your partner. That's a difference.
Yeah.
People are fearful of following someone blind when they don't know them. I have certain friends that are military personnel. If we're out hiking and we got lost, I can trust them blindly to get us back north. I can trust that. Now, there's no conversation. I'm not going to deliberate. I'm not even going to need my vote to be counted. Because I trust you, because I know your experience, I'm going to follow you blindly.
That's it. And that's all I think about. I was in Paris a couple years ago with some family members. And of course, Americans tend to think everybody speaks English wherever you go. Everybody doesn't. So I was blessed that I was with a group of people that we were riding the train system. They spoke French. The thing was, we got lost maybe once or twice, but I literally was sitting there like not concerned because I was with a group of people that I fully trusted that are going to figure out where we need to go. And it goes directly to this. I think sometimes, like to the example you made, sometimes we trust people in our own platonic relationships or family more than we trust our partner. You know, you see it all the time where people on these divorce court and other things where I went and consulted with my cousin. I didn't ask my husband. What? Now, mind you, on those shows, they real extreme. You know, they to the part to the left. But in general, you see it where people have more trust in other people outside of their partnership. And I think what someone was saying, I agree, to say we blindly trust is also to say that we do have faith in our partner. That's another thing that people don't talk about in regards to if they want to go down the road of talking about religion or whatever the case may be. Trust, faith, whatever word is comfortable for you. I do believe it is faith because it's believing. But that's another thing, you know, people don't have that. And that causes a huge issue in how they are going to navigate relationships. I think that's the part that marriage is very serious. If you already know, when people say, I got trust issues, they say it jokingly. Sometimes they say it with friends. You probably need to back out of relationships for a little bit, because if you can't go into relationships trusting once you all have established something, you literally don't have a foundation for success. So how are you going to go forward? And it's not up to the potential partner to help you create what trust looks like. They can do everything, but if you don't trust, it's nothing I can say or do if you just genuinely in your heart don't trust people. I can do everything right, but you're still not going to believe it if that's not what you believe.
I want to hit back on something you touched on. I don't want to run past it. You talked about fear.
Yeah.
A lot of people message me, mostly women, saying, like, I get this, but my fear is losing my autonomy. Because think about being in a society where men are viewed as the leaders, the men have more quote unquote power in the relationship. Many women fear giving up their autonomy or giving up aspects of themselves because I don't know. Help me out with that.
I'm gonna help you out there. I ain't want to interrupt. My thing is this: when a woman says I'm in fear of losing my autonomy, almost to me sounds like I'm in fear of like losing myself. My thing, if a woman says, I'm going to ask her, what part of your autonomy do you feel like you are going to lose? Because a thing for me is in dating right now, if I'm big on the term authentically free. If I cannot show up authentically as Shayna in this relationship, I'm not going to be there. You want a man that at the end of the day is going to be able to celebrate you, support you, be proud of you, all those things. And me and one of my friends have an ongoing joke, like, I'm a bad bitch at work. I can't be, and I'm a boss at work. I can't be the bad bitch at home. I don't want to be. I want him to be the boss. So this autonomy we talk about in the world, like, you can be this number one entrepreneur. You can be this number one leader in corporate America. And you can be still the leader of your home, and your husband or partner is going to celebrate you and uplift you and make sure you don't lose your identity, because that's what attracted him to you. He loves that outgoing, outspoken, but balanced nature. He loves all those things. So for a woman to say, I'm going to lose my autonomy, what exactly do you think that you are going to lose? What I feel like they're trying to say is that with the wrong person, I will have to minimize who I am. Because with the wrong person, I've been there where I've become a shell of myself. If Shayna is 100%, I had to become 20%. Because with the wrong person, losing my autonomy or my individuality look like, don't talk that loud, don't talk that way, don't wear that outfit, don't go to that place. Why do you have to do this so much? Why do you do that so much? Nobody, that means that's bad partner selection. So when you get to the point when a woman is saying, like, I'm down to let a man lead me, but I fear that I'm going to lose my autonomy. No, what they should be saying, and I think women have to redirect that way of thinking, is that if you wind up with the wrong person, you will absolutely lose yourself and all of who you are, because you will start to transform into the person that they want you to be and into the person that they saw you as. Because I always say this, what's the the side view mirror on the car say objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. I always say men see you across the room and they get close up on it. It was like, oh, this ain't what I thought it was through the lens of Instagram. I thought you was one way. Now I got you live in living color. You a whole lot. I am a whole lot. So I got to be with a man that's okay with a whole lot, but also understanding, like I spoke to earlier, I have no problem with adjusting in certain areas because you have to. Like, it's almost like the autonomy of understanding that if I am a person that I go out and say I hang out at Minerva and I do all this other shit with my friends every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, I can't do that. Once I'm in a relationship, like life, certain things, and mine just very surface level, but I understand that I can't do certain things just because for a lot of reasons. I'm married, we doing other shit when I'm with, we gotta move different. That's not losing my autonomy. That's called being in a relationship with somebody I give a damn about. Because if I didn't, I would be outside doing the same bald head whole shit with my friends that I was doing before I got with him. So I think that's the biggest part. Women just have to wrap their mind around it. You're not losing your autonomy with the right person. You aren't minimizing yourself. You aren't having to become somebody that you aren't, but we got to stop. I think it's also an excuse because then being honest, we got to stop being lazy and understand that it does take a little bit more effort and a little bit more work and a little bit more patience to be with that person and communicate and figure out what does life really look like with this person before I fully commit to them. And once I figure it out and I see that we on one accord, also what you said, consistently communicating to know that there are areas of my life, if I go through it, that are going to look different. Why? If I want my whole life to stay exactly the same, why I want to be in a relationship? Like I need somebody to take my Christmas tree to the attic right now.
So you're hitting on a lot of great points. And one of the things that people don't realize with healthy relationships, there's going to be structure. When you are single, there are certain things you can do that you don't have to do as someone who's in a committed relationship or even headed towards marriage. Exactly. There are going to be more conversations. Hey, are you coming straight home? Do I need to cook or are you going out? Okay, did something happen? You were supposed to be home normally at 7 and it's 8:30. Are you okay? Like these are conversations and stuff that need to be had. Even going out, the social groups that you participate in have to change because of the interactions that happen are not always conducive of you having a healthy relationship. Exactly. So you have to refrain from doing it. Now you can look at that as a bad thing. Man, I got to stop all this stuff because I'm in a relationship now. I feel chained. Okay, well then you are not ready to be in a healthy relationship because a healthy relationship is going to have boundaries. It's going to have voice and vocalized expectations. Right. There are going to be roles and responsibilities. Right. There are going to be uncomfortable conversations that you're going to have to sit through. And you can't just storm off and you can't just, you can't just, you know what, I'm done. No. There is increased structure as you get to marriage, and when you're in marriage, that structure's in. And then think about it, as you add children, you're going to have to
another layer.
You're going to have to continue to add structure because there's going to be things that you used to be able to do as a couple. You could say, hey, there's a flight in 4 hours. You got a bag ready and we can go. But if you got kids, you got to be, man, who's going to watch these kids? Who going to watch them?
Are we taking
a sitter?
Got somebody to watch them. What we doing is I love structure. It's layers and structure. And I think to add on to the point you gave, that's if anytime a woman is coming and saying, I would like that, but I fear that just that losing my autonomy piece, I think is outdated information. I think it's a cop-out because that's another thing. When it comes to figuring out what the relationship is going to look like and all the layers that come with it, it's so much that we have to look at that many times people don't. But also understanding to the point you made about the changes that have to take place, even the little stuff like the check-ins. If it's little things like that you haven't even gotten to the bigger things, again, you got to check yourself. Are you ready for a relationship? Because that comes with it. Life is going to look different. And not that it has to look different in a terrible way, because even though I'm single, I have married friends. I hang out sometimes with the married. Sometimes we'll all hang out together in groups. Sometimes it's just the wife. It's certain things like, I know that even when it comes to certain activities or certain things that I have going on, my friends, sometimes I know I just don't invite married people because I just don't think you would want to come and do this, or I don't think it's appropriate. So I ain't gonna ask you. But but we gonna be doing. But they get that. Or the same thing if they're doing stuff. It's sometimes it's gonna be the married couple, sometimes not the single people. I'm not a person. I don't want anybody to ever get it mixed up to think that like married and single people can't hang out or they can't do some of the same things, or that when you get married you got to throw all your single friends away. Like, nah, life don't work like that. Friendships don't go like that, because the other side is all my married friends, I'm actually friends with the husbands too. Not that like me and the husbands hanging out, but we can all sit there and have a good time together. We know each other well enough to know. Also, I know well enough to know, yeah, I'm not inviting your wife to this because I know your husband. So I'm not going to invite you to this. But I think at the same time, that we all have to understand the many layers and the many nuances that go into relationships and the many layers that are added on once you're in a relationship. So anybody that's trying to fight that and feels like, and women have this bad, well, this is just who I am. Ooh. Okay, well, this is who I am into singledom for the rest of your life. If you want to sit in a space of like, I ain't got to answer nobody. I ain't got to tell nobody nothing. I ain't got this. Okay. But at the same time, I bet you want him to tell you the same thing, but you don't want to do it yourself. So it's like what let's say, call a thing a thing. We both got to be on the same page if we gonna do this or don't do it at all. Like I posted this the other day. If I polled 10 women right now, ask them, like, are they really ready for a relationship? Give me 10 reasons why. In a minute, we gonna be sitting here looking around everybody on mute because they don't know. They do not know. They do not know.
So let's end on this note. I want to talk about this for a second. I got many comments stating, well, from the woman's perspective, we don't know what she's been through. We don't know if she was in an abusive relationship before. The term narcissist got thrown around a lot. We don't know if she was a narcissist. We had things such as, well, it depends on how he asked. So when it comes to that, when it comes down to potentially being some negative experience in the past that caused her to be triggered and have this response, what would you say to women who are trying to do relationships, but there are aspects of their past that are negative and they try to protect themselves against it? Because I try to give things a noble intention.
Yeah,
I really do. So I try to frame it as maybe she's trying to protect herself. What would you say to someone who's coming from that standpoint of, I had a negative experience and I don't want it to happen again?
It's about three things. One, relationships are a risk. Every time you sign up for one, you roll the dice. You cannot guarantee outcomes. There is no guaranteed return on investment. So that whole thing of I'm going to put a wall up, I'm going to put these defense mechanisms up, crop that out your head. Stop doing that. It's serving no purpose if you are not going to open yourself up completely to the opportunity of what could be the greatest love of your life. So you have to be able to understand. It's the same as, this argument that stays on social media about women, why you have a child out of wedlock. People die. I can have a child with a married man today and he gone tomorrow. It guarantees nothing. It's all a risk. The next thing is you need to try to do your best to be on a healing journey with a clinician. Like, I don't like to diagnose people and call them narcissists or anything like that. My good friend Courtney or Alicia taught me that people need to stop diagnosing folks and they don't know what they're talking about. So you may run into people that say that they've dealt with folks with certain traits in certain areas, and that's fine. But I feel like you need to figure out what type of healing journey you need to be on to be consistently trying to work through that, so that when I meet Joseph, I don't automatically, oh, he a narcissist because he told me to wear a red shirt. Where do you get that from? Like, you have it in your mind that everybody immediately is against you and that you're on the wrong path because you aren't doing the work before you even signed up to do a relationship. Like, everybody, if you went through, they're right that people don't know what they've been through. Nobody knows until they know. So you got to tell them. That's another thing. So I think before you sign up to get into a potential relationship, you got to start doing the work before the next relationship. If it jacks you up like that, like, everybody don't need therapy after every relationship. But if you do feel like you're in a position where it's really messing with your opportunities, figure out what your journey needs to look like. And therapy may not be the answer for everybody. So I'm just going to say whatever your healing journey needs to look like, figure out what resources and tools you need to tap into before you involve somebody in your foolishness and try to get somebody to sign up to help you heal. You don't need to be signing up to try to do life with nobody because I need for you to help me get over this. Nah, it's not true. Laying under somebody help you get over somebody. It don't work that way, even though people say it. So that's the thing. You have to understand it's a risk. You have to figure out what your healing journey looks like and what tools you need to implement on a regular basis. You need to communicate with your potential partner once you see that you all may be going on a journey of this turning into something serious. If you feel to communicate with them, to just let them know, like, right now I am working through these things. You know, I'm not saying you got to show them your whole file of therapy, but I think if you are in a safe space, like we talked about, and that's what you want, I think it's good for you to have conversations with this person, like, you know, to talk about the past experiences. Like, this is what I've been through. This is where I am. I'm excited about where we're going, but also so that a person can be aware. I think it helps to know, you know, if Shayna told me that she's been with a person that maybe exhibited, you know, narcissistic traits or was a gaslighter or whatever the hot terms are right now, to know, like, all right, she dealt with that before. It may, if you're with the right person, they may feel like, let me try to help her in this, to the point where I don't show up in this space and do the same shit that somebody did to her before. But also it may give grounds for this person to be like, actually, Shayna, I'm going to leave you alone because I know me and I know what you told me. And this probably ain't going to be a good fit off of what I know. So again, just, you got to be aware that it's no, people got to get that number one. This is a risk. Y'all got to quit acting like, every relationship, people act like every man they meet gonna be their boyfriend and every boyfriend gonna be their husband. It's not. It's all a risk. You taking a chance every time. Communicating, making sure they know what's going on, making sure you ready for the relationship before you sign up to try to do it with somebody. And then just understand you got to take this stuff one day at a time. You know, I almost feel like many of us would love to know that our person is right around the corner, but that ain't how it goes. So we don't have that option. So we just got to do what we can to be prepared so that when he does come, we don't be out here lying, talking about we don't want to lose our autonomy.
To everybody has gone through something. We all have scars,
Yes.
bruises, but what can be healing is having the conversation at the appropriate time.
Yes.
I'm not for over divulging and just emotional dumping on people, but you should have a system and a process that signifies, okay, it's time to go deeper with this. You should have some objective way to determine that the person I'm trying to connect with is someone that I can go deeper with.
Yep.
And to start to have those conversations, because you can bypass and sidestep a lot of misunderstandings when someone can understand where you've been,
yep,
how you've experienced relationships thus far. And that gives the person you're dating or the person you're with more information to be able to support you in the relationship. It's not always information to use as a weapon or to disqualify you. There are plenty of people who understand that people have baggage and life experiences that have hurt them, and they want to walk alongside you to figure this thing out, because at the heart of things, they know that they also have some baggage that they are going to be bringing, and they want you to look at their dirty laundry and not be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done. So when we have a system and a process in place, we can safely start to open up and have those dialogues to where no matter what has happened in our past, we're able to communicate in a safe, a healthy, and I love the word you use, authentic way, so that the person can see the real us, and we can get on to doing life, and we don't have to be playing these silly games. Like you said, we grown. We ain't trying to be out here doing all that stuff. Let's do the mature thing and take responsibility for our feelings and our emotions and our reactions to things, while simultaneously opening up and be willing to be vulnerable to someone that we are interested in.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%.
So we're at time. Yo, that went quick. Do you have any final comments, words? You got anything you promoting?
Yes. Make sure for everybody in here that y'all go follow the SM journal collection, my new journal collection that is here to help you all with getting clarity around what you want in this life, especially relationships. Y'all need to start writing down what you want and believe in what you want. But on the other side, and follow To Be Single or Not To Be for the podcast, New episodes out every week now. But lastly, I'll just say I want everybody to have the relationship that they desire, but we all just have to be willing to put the work in and show up as our authentic self and stop making excuses. You can have what you want once you quit lying to yourself and others around you. And I'll leave it on that note.
So here's an announcement. You guys have been hounding me. March 19th, the book is out. It's a relationship journal. Flip the script. From Lost to Love, the 30-day relationship preparation journal that's filled with introspective activities to help you better know yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself when you meet that special person. So you can also follow me on all the streaming platforms for podcasting. You can find me at Love Unscripted. On YouTube, you can find me at Love Unscripted HD. And we're going to have to do this again.
We have to. Listen, this was fun. I enjoyed it. I got fired up.
We got to do this in person and have other people there to share, because I do want to hear what some other people have to say. So that may be something. If you're in Nashville, be on the lookout, because we got some stuff that we're going to be doing. We getting outside now.
2024, we got to sit on the stage and talk about this.
Most definitely. Yes. All right, everyone. We will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.
Peace. Good night, y'all.